Aubrey, Guy, and Matt, can you all hear? And Randy,
Yes.
sorry, Randy.
This is Aubrey, yes.
This is Guy, yeah.
Yeah, I can hear.
I hear you fine.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Good start.
Okay, it's 7:31. We'll get started. Megan, would you please read the statement of presiding officer?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting, specifically the time, date, and public call-in information were included in the meeting that was electronically sent to the Echo, Sentinel, Morris Daily Record, and posted on the township website. The agenda and public handouts for this meeting can be viewed online at www.longhillnj.gov. A public comment period will be held in the order it is listed on the meeting agenda.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Megan, would you please take the roll?
Committeeman Lavender,
Present.
Committeewoman Riker Eline,
Here.
Committeeman Verleza,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia. It looks like he has exited. Mayor Dorsey.
Here.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, tonight. Matt and Aubrey have some personal commitments. Guy has a work commitment. So Vic and I will hold the fort down in person, but thanks, Aubrey and Matt, for joining on Zoom. First, we have a presentation. I'd like to welcome Dr. Elizabeth Jewett, who is the superintendent of Watchung Hills Regional High School, as well as Timothy Stye, who is the business administrator and board secretary. They're going to do a presentation tonight on this year's budget, and so I'll turn the floor over to them. Welcome. Thank you for coming. We do this every year, and we greatly appreciate your candor and your openness. So, your guest.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for always accepting our invitation to ourselves to come to your meeting and talk about our budget. And we have one of our board members here as well from Long Hill, Carol Prasa. I do want to commend the board on their commitment to providing exceptional educational opportunities for our students in the most fiscally responsible manner possible. It's not an easy task, and I will say that this year, this is my 12th year as superintendent, and this was the most difficult budget year we have had for a number of various reasons. One of the main ones just being the prices of everything have increased, and Mr. Size will get into more details about that, but particularly our healthcare costs have increased significantly, our special education costs. So this budget this year was particularly difficult, and we did have to make some significant cuts in order to stay within that cap. But we do feel we have a budget that is going to keep providing the opportunities for our students that we are looking to, and it's as in the most efficient manner possible. So our enrollment has dipped over the years. When I started, we were about 2,300, and now we're just under 1,700. And what we have done throughout the years is we have reduced staff mostly through attrition each year. So if we have retirements or resignations, we've looked to not fill them where possible. So that way, over the years, as our enrollment has declined, we haven't had to make major cuts, but rather just reduce positions through attrition. I list some of the highlights of our achievements on here. Many of you have or had students go through the district, so you know a lot of what is going on. But every year our students accomplish absolutely amazing things, not only in the classroom, but through our extracurriculars and our athletics. And I listed a couple on here. So far this year we have county titles for girls volleyball, girls fencing, wrestling, and competition cheer. Our students continue to earn outstanding recognition on our AP exams. 244 earned some level of AP Scholar recognition, and we had 5 National Merit finalists in this current class of 2025. Our budget has included for the past number of years our one-to-one Chromebooks for our incoming 9th graders each year. Thankfully, we started that initiative prior to having to go remote during COVID, so that was certainly helpful, and we've continued that. We've also made technology improvements to a number of our classrooms and labs, and our TV studio is actually our latest project that we're looking to upgrade. Every year, we increase our security infrastructure. We don't provide details publicly on what those improvements are, but those are based on our recommendations from local police, our security team, Homeland Security, the prosecutor's office. We take all of those things into consideration with our security improvements. And our most recent referendum we completed recently and made some very significant upgrades to various programmatic spaces in the building. Our nurse's office was actually relocated, and it's now more of a health office suite in our building. It's nicer than my doctor's office probably, but we actually we had a space in the building that we were not using. It was our former child development program, and so we were able to repurpose that space. Our nurse's office for a building of our size, it was not appropriate, the size of the nurse's office for the amount of students we serve. Same thing with our athletic trainers room. That, for years, we kept putting into our budget, and it kept getting cut, and so we were able to include it in this referendum, and now it's actually an athletic training facility that's worthy of our student athletes. We upgraded some of our chillers, our LED lighting in our Performing Arts Center. We also upgraded our ceramics studio. That's one of our most popular programs. And we have our new design lab, and we will be looking to have an open house for that in the fall once we have put some of the finishing touches just on our punch list. That was our old robotics space, which was antiquated and a terrible use of the space because things throughout the years just kept getting added. There was machinery that wasn't being used, but it was in there. So it was very difficult for students to be in there working. We had our photography lab next to that. We actually moved our photography lab and upgraded that space as well, and combined our old photography lab with our old robotics space, and it is an absolutely beautiful design lab. There's a classroom in it, there's a field for them to test our robot, there's the machinery space, and in addition to using that for our robotics and our engineering programs, we are actually building an entirely new design program, a 4-year sequence for our students that we will utilize that space for. So that's exciting. So next year will be year 1 of that, and each year we will add, our plan is to add another year of courses so that we have a 4-year design program. So now what I'm going to do is turn it over to Mr. Stye so he can talk about all of the fun number pieces of this. And he will be talking about what this means as well as some of the cuts that we had to make to meet our budgetary constraints.
Thanks, Dr. Jewett. Thanks for the town council and the mayor for having us here. It's always a pleasure coming to each of the towns. As Dr. Jewett said, our board member Carol Prasa is here, and she does a great job working on the finance committee over the years. So she's been a very valuable member of our team. Your one board member moved out, so we're going to be putting an ad in the paper pretty soon for another Long Hill board member. But just to get you through some of the numbers, and I'll touch on one thing that Dr. Jewett said about the design lab. Prior to us doing that, that space was horrible. She was nice about it, but it was horrible. The old robotics lab was very old. The equipment in there was extremely old, and the photography room had so much stuff that was sitting in there, and it was such a bizarre setup. Right now, we've turned it into a state-of-the-art design lab for robotics, machinery. It's just so good for the kids. And I see every time I walk through there's kids there either working on something, sitting on a computer desk, they're doing all their kind of things. So it's really neat how that kind of played out. And that particular referendum that we did that using our own surplus and state money that we got. So that was definitely a win for the district and for the taxpayers, I think. So our budget this year is $54 million, which is 2.77% over last year's. We got a little more state aid. We got 2.7 to help fund this budget for categorical state aid. That's about $130,000 more than last year. The challenges that we faced, Dr. Jewett touched on it. One was the health care. Health care was up 14%. The year before that, I think it was like 11. So the last couple of years, and I think that's pretty much nationwide, and certainly in New Jersey, we got hit pretty hard. But for us, it was 14%. And then the other big piece was special education out-of-district placements were tough. Those numbers are up. The rates themselves are up for the private schools that we send to, and the number of kids we're sending went up. So that was up 11%. So those two numbers were pretty big numbers for us to overcome. In addition to all the other items that Dr. Jewett mentioned, and I think you're all feeling it, just still the impact of inflation, particularly on computers, technology, that kind of stuff, has been brutal. So it put us in a bad spot. So we decided, we had the tough decision to cut 3 standing positions. One is a high-level administrative position, a clerical position, and an instructional position. We also cut one class of world language for a case. So when you see 1.2 teachers, that's what that means. It's one full person and one section of a subject. Going back to 2010, we had 288 full-time equivalent staff members. Right now, we have 237, just to give you numbers. So when she was talking about over the years when our enrollment was declining, our employment numbers went down right with it. That's where it was. So it was 288 to 237. So we've dropped over 50 in that period of time. And what this means for the taxpayers of Long Hill, and I compare the average home from this year to the average home of last year, which went up a little bit, the increase for that home of $622,000 is $103.41 per home. The tax rate actually goes down slightly, very little. It's almost flat. And there's additional information on our website that you guys can access by www.whrhs.org. And again, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Questions?
So, do you have any questions?
No, not at all. Great presentation. I think you guys do a great job at Watchung Hills. All good.
I know it is a struggle this year with budgets, just with the cost of everything has gone up, and especially over the last 2 years. You know, it's not lost on us the amount of work that you have to put in to kind of wedge this in while keeping the quality of education not only where it is, but better. So thank you for everything that you do on this, and no, I think this is a great job in light of where we're at. And we know, because we're doing the budget right now ourselves, and we know the K-8's doing their budget.
Yeah, it's tough.
And we're all facing the same kind of struggles. I mean, so the rate went down, but assessments went up. Those two numbers are the two levers in the computation that hit the number that you have to hit. You said your state aid went up a little bit, but you really got hit on healthcare, 14%. I don't know if Randy's on. Wow, that's an eye opener, and the special education tuition costs is an eye opener, and there's really nothing we can do about that.
It's hard. I mean, I think partly we're a victim of our successful program. I mean, I think that does draw folks in for sure. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, it would be nice if the state of New Jersey had a little more caps on some of these private schools. I don't want to pick on the private schools a little bit, but I had a lot of 10% increases come my way, and you know, that was a little tough.
Because you're sending special education over to the private schools, and they're charging you.
Yeah, they were allowed to increase their tuition rates, and I saw a lot of them asking for a 10% increase over the past couple of years. And honestly, they were hit with the same things we all were hit with, right? So right. It's natural they did that. It's just I would have liked to see them controlled a little bit more. It would have been nice, but.
So here's something that's a little bit of a paradox. With all the building that's going on, we see all these apartments and all this building going on, and yet enrollments are going down in the schools, right? What do you think that is?
Well, we anticipate that changing, and we're actually in the process of doing a demographic study. So we do anticipate that to change in the coming years. I think, you know, outside of the apartments, my anecdotal evidence of why our enrollment is going down is because people really like living in these towns. So when their kids graduate, they don't move out. So that's kind of what, what I've noticed over the 12 years I've been here, because people really, really like living here. But I do think with all of the construction going on, we've already started to see some students from some of the new developments. So we're looking to get more information on that in our demographic study, but we do expect that to cause an increase.
So what was the high point of enrollment that you saw in the last several years?
For us,
Yeah,
we have 2,300 kids.
2,300, so you're down like 600.
Yeah, quite a bit.
I would agree, though. I would find it to be stunning if that number didn't start to go up based on the construction that we see going on all around us.
Particularly in Warren. Warren's got a lot of open space, and they're adding a lot of units. And talking to them, I know they're a little nervous about it.
And how does that scale your budget? Do you get,
There are
is it more
enrollment
efficient if you
waivers.
have more students?
So, I mean, yes and no. It's kind of, I guess economies of scale to a certain point, but then, which is why when enrollment fluctuates, it doesn't always, there's not always a one-to-one correlation with staff, because if we lose, 20 students, that doesn't mean we can eliminate a teacher, because they, it's not like we're eliminating a whole class of something. So there's like a tipping point, I guess, as you add and as you decrease, which is also why we're trying to be careful about our reductions, because it's much more difficult to add than it is to reduce. So we want to make sure we're careful so that we don't really affect programs, because it's much harder to add those back after you've cut them out. There are, if our enrollment increases significantly, there are enrollment waivers with regard to how much we can raise the tax levy. Certainly, we want to try to not have to do that out of respect for the taxpayers and concern for that. So but we'll have a better idea from the demographic study and as time passes.
Okay. And Aubrey and Matt and Guy, if you're on, any questions that you have for Dr. Jewett and Tim?
This is Aubrey. I don't have any questions. I really appreciate you all taking the time to go through this with us and field our questions and our inquiries. And again, just taking the time to present to us. I really appreciate it.
And then,
I also appreciate your support of the special schools. I know it's not easy, but they serve special needs that can't be met elsewhere. And I really embrace the special program that you all have there and how you care for all the groups of students that you serve. So thank you.
Thank you.
okay. I'll open it up to the public. Does anyone in the public have a question they'd like to ask? You want to take the opportunity? No? Okay. Well,
Marianne Noonan would like to speak on Zoom.
of course.
Hi, thank you. I kind of joined a little late in terms of the presentation. Okay, with reference to our student body, okay, we're not talking about the regional school system. We're talking about up through K-12, correct?
No, this is Watchung Hills.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I apologize again because I came in late. Okay, yeah. To go into that, have you been able to estimate, with all the rentals going up in Warren Township, the approximation of how many students will be in the regional school?
So we are in the process of conducting a demographic study that we're hoping will give us that information.
Okay, and it's based on what? I'm sorry. I'm very involved in this type of stuff on another level with this high density housing, et cetera.
Did you have a question?
Yes. We might have missed it. Was there a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, the question, in terms of your study, everything that is going up currently in Warren, specifically, they're rentals and they're pilots. So my question to you, and recently there was a legislative bill going through regarding pilots that I still haven't fully read. I just saw it today. How is this going to impact the regional school system with regards to having, what is it, four townships involved in all this development, the majority of which is high density. It's not necessarily affordable housing. But I'm asking how are you going to try to figure this calculation out?
I think if you're asking about enrollment, that we're employing demographers to try to shake that out and project it forward for us and see what our needs are going to be.
Okay.
We're also in constant contact with the elementary schools, the K-8 schools, to
Right.
understand where their numbers are, which is important. In fact, I had a meeting today with the demographer and Warren Township business officials. So we're trying to stay on top of exactly where it's going to be. We don't know yet. That's really the issue. We really need some help with the demographers to tell us, to kind of give us a projection of where it's going to be. And then we can kind of plan going forward. It's hard right now because I think they have about three phases done at this point in time, and the houses
Oh, we're
aren't.
going into, I'm sorry, I'm not going to interrupt you. Please continue. I apologize.
That's okay.
Yeah,
But
so
we're
K-8
getting
is
there.
really a leading indicator. As those enrollments go up, you see that wave coming towards the high school. So in some regards, you have an easier task of it because you've got a little bit of radar out there.
We do. We have an advantage for sure because we can see it coming, and it's easier to plan that way for sure.
Okay, good question. Thank you, Mary Ann. Anybody else?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, very good. Thank you so much.
Our
Appreciate it.
students are looking forward to
Wait.
performing at the Memorial Day parade.
Yes, we've got one more question here from, state your name and address.
Tom Jones, Long Hill Township. In regards to the study, when will that take place, and when would we expect to see the results?
The regionalization study?
Yeah,
Or
the
the
the forecasting the demographic, sorry.
My understanding is that it's going to be somewhere in September. I think that's what it was.
So it's the demographic study is part of the regionalization shared services study that we're doing. So it's one of the components of that, which is nice because the grant is paying for it instead of our tax dollars. We do expect to get that information, I believe, September. And all of that will be shared publicly once we have it, absolutely.
And Tom is vice chairman of our planning board, so.
Oh, good.
He's
Yeah,
got an
we-
interest in it.
So that'll take into consideration once the New Jersey wastewater starts, NJ done with their piece, and then we start seeing the construction that's going to take place here in Long Hill. We are going to see children coming into the school system, probably at an elementary level, I would think, but then we'll probably see some high schools as well. So as that demographic study is taking place, hopefully that's also being taken under consideration. Because you'll have the number of units, and you're probably going to have some ratios to assist in understanding what those numbers might look like.
Yeah, I might have the demographer reach out to you guys.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for letting us know that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
We appreciate the interest in our budget and the study, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, next on the agenda here, we have a request to present Mr. John Rocker. Are you here?
Good evening.
And I think Matt's recusing himself, right?
Correct, Matt. If you want to log off, and then I'll let you know when we're back, or if you wanted to just stay muted and not listen.
Okay. So, yeah, we have your letter, but I wouldn't
Okay.
do justice trying to read it here. I'll let you explain what it is you want to present, what the situation is, and then take it from there. So please.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for having me. I wrote down my presentation. There's no way I was going to remember it, so I just want to go through it. Some of the information you've read in my letter, but I'll just take you down through my comments, and then I'll invite Brian up to review the submittal that I forwarded yesterday of the various plan options. My name is John Rocker. I'm the managing member of B&K Homes, LLC, owner of the subject property at 44 Plainfield Road, also known as Block 10515, Lot 7 on the tax map.
And for folks, so we can place this.
Sure.
We're familiar with Plainfield. What's around that area?
We're directly across from the new Goddard School.
Directly across from Goddard School.
Yeah,
Got it.
the old
Okay.
dog and cat pet shop,
Okay.
across from the second entry to the Valley View Mall.
Got it. Okay, continue.
My name's John Rocker, and I'm the managing member, as I said, of the property. First and foremost, I want to thank this committee for giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. I truly appreciate everybody taking the time to consider what I believe to be a modest zoning amendment that will significantly and meaningfully improve the viability, quality, and public benefit of this already approved project. I come here before you tonight not just as a property owner or developer, but also as a neighbor and longtime frequent visitor and patron of this township, particularly the Sterling Village. As such, I have a sincere and ongoing interest in working to ensure that Long Hill Township grows, thrives in the best way possible. I'm a local Somerset County-based builder with over 40 years of hands-on experience, and I'm someone who takes real pride in the quality of my projects, large or small. Over the years, I built a reputation through hard work and dedication as one of the most respected builders in our area. That reputation is something that I strive to protect and reinforce daily, and I want this project to be a point of pride not only for myself and my company, but also for the Long Hill Township at large. I want it to be the absolute best that it can be for all the right reasons. So, as I noted in my letter to the committee earlier, I was the applicant in connection with this application numbers 2020-02Z and 2021-13Z, which involved a bifurcated application process for preliminary and final major site plan approval, during which I sought and was granted D1 use variance relief. That process led to the zoning board approving what we hoped and still hope will become a beneficial inclusionary development. The approved plan currently includes 24 upscale residential units, 3 of which are affordable units, along with 2,400 square feet of ground floor retail space. The affordable units were negotiated in depth during our earlier hearings, and they were ultimately included intentionally as a means of assisting the township to meet its constitutional affordable housing obligations for the upcoming 4th round. My request tonight is simple but important. I'm asking the governing body to consider a site-specific amendment to the BD zone allowing residential units on the ground floor of this project that is currently prohibited under the current zoning ordinance. This change would allow me to remove the retail component of the project and instead relocate a few of the approved residential units to the ground floor. That shift would create the opportunity to enlarge the apartments on average by approximately 100 square feet, improve their layout and livability, and ultimately deliver nicer, more desirable residents that will appeal to a stable and discerning tenant base. Young professionals, empty nesters, and others looking for high-quality rental housing in Long Hill will be afforded a better option. At this point in time, we're in a highly competitive housing market. Since we secured our approval, other similar developments are offering larger, more luxurious units with more spacious interiors. In order to ensure that this project is successful, not just constructed, but fully leased and tenant stable, I believe we need to recognize and respond to the current market indicators. The zoning adjustment that I am seeking your consideration of here tonight will allow us to do exactly that without changing the footprint, height, or exterior design of our building. To be clear, I am not asking for a wholesale rezoning of the BD district. I'm asking for site-specific relief and amendment limited to this project, which is justified by its affordable inclusionary status. You have the legal authority to adopt zoning that supports your housing element and fair share plan, and this request fits squarely within that framework. Additionally, I would assume that the property will be rezoned as a part of the latest round of affordable housing, regardless of the outcome of my presentation, and therefore would no longer be in the BD district. So why is this important? When this project was conceived and we were living in a much different world, our original applications were submitted just before and concluded during the height of the pandemic. Since then, the retail landscape has shifted dramatically, which I'm sure everybody recognizes. Many local storefronts and retail businesses are struggling. Consumer habits have evolved, and the economics of small-scale ground floor retail space, particularly in suburban corridors like Plainfield Road, are either challenged or simply no longer viable. We've seen it firsthand. If you look at the Valley Mall or other retail nodes in town, vacancies are unfortunately common. Adding a more underutilized retail space will not help that condition, in our opinion. In fact, it could detract from the vibrancy we're trying to build in this project. What we need are more high-quality, functional living spaces, not more empty storefronts. I'm proposing a modest, site-specific adjustment that does not increase density or trigger the kinds of impacts residents typically worry about. Again, this project has already been approved. I'm not trying to change the character of the project. I'm trying to improve the character of the project and if I do so, it will make the project more viable, more responsive to the community, and ultimately more successful for everybody. Ironically, one of the strongest sources of opposition during our earlier zoning board hearings was concern about the retail component by both neighbors and board members alike. Concerns about parking, traffic, or whether it was even appropriate in a large residential setting. Those concerns resonated with me then, and they still do now. Please remember, this site has residential housing on both sides of it, with no retail associated with either of the properties to either side. In fact, one of the neighbors who formally objected earlier to the earlier hearings is here tonight and has expressed support for removing the retail as well. I think that says a lot, and I think she intends to address the committee as well when I conclude, if you'll allow her. I want to emphasize again that I'm not proposing any change to the building footprint, height, or architectural design or appearance. The original and most current architectural renderings developed by our architect, John Sirocco, will remain essentially unchanged. The floor area ratio would increase slightly, but will remain fully compliant, and no new variance requirements would be triggered. We will remain well within the township bulk and intensity standards. Also, very importantly, I'm in no way bypassing the municipal land use approval process. Even if this committee would be inclined to support my request, I still must return to the planning board for my amended site plan approval. I will still be subject to a complete professional technical review, public hearing, and full transparency. All that I am actually asking for tonight is a zoning mechanism that would allow us to make a smart and sensible internal refinement to the project that, with respect to use and function, has already been fully vetted and approved. If anybody would wonder why I don't just go back to the zoning board and apply for another D1 use variance for what I'm speaking about here tonight, the answer is as follows. It would be extremely costly, duplicative, and highly uncertain that it would be granted. As you all know, D1 relief variances require supermajority of the board and a demanding set of legal proofs. We have already satisfied that burden once over the course of several meetings earlier, and doing it again for this modest internal adjustment is not sound planning, in my opinion, and frankly, it would not be a path that I would consider. So for now, I'd like to ask Brian to come up, because we did submit two potential options pursuant to what we're talking about. So Brian, do you want to just go through it?
Do you guys have those in front of you, or
Yeah.
were those submitted?
Yeah, can you just state your name and address?
Sure. Brian Krawitz. I work with John. I was part of the first two applications as well, and I spoke at those meetings as well. Good evening. The building's current design, as you guys know, has 24 total units, 12 units on floor 2, 12 units on floor 3. The architect essentially removed one bedroom and one 2-bedroom from each of those floors, still giving you 24 units. This allows, as John mentioned, the square footage to be gained across those floors. We're not talking about 300 or 400 square feet bigger units. We're talking about 100 square feet per unit approximately. Those 4 units would then be added to the first floor. The key things to keep in mind is you're still keeping the amenities gym, the tenant storage room. A big point of discussion at all of those previous meetings was the tandem parking. You now eliminate that tandem parking. You don't need it. We are still compliant with all parking standards from RSIS. The building had 24 units and remains at 24 units. Are there any questions? And by the way, that's option B. So if you're staring at option A, you need to look at option B. We tried to make this as confusing as possible.
So if I were to just summarize this, the exterior of the building and the grounds would be exactly the same, just the size of the rooms on some of the floors would shift,
Yeah,
and the retail would go away, and there'd be
Right
space
now,
down there.
and like, you know, I don't want to take any more time than I need to. I remember all of these meetings vividly, and the board and everyone, the concept of retail on this street was highly discussed because people felt like there's enough traffic on Plainfield Road. Why do we need to have retail there? And at the end, it was added to the project. Some people felt it should be and shouldn't be on that board. Our idea was right now, as I said, so 2 floors, 6 units, just chop off a unit of each, right? Spread that square footage. You're only gaining 100 square feet. And in where that retail space predominantly was, would go those units. Because the retail requires more parking, everything else, you don't need the tandem spaces. So instead, like, I'm sure you guys looked at the original drawing, but you had cars parked back to back. That was another big issue that was discussed, but it's how we made the parking work. The site is properly parked. There was no EV credits given, which could also bring the parking number down. So under this way and that option that you're looking at first, you now have plenty of parking. You were compliant before, you're overly compliant now. So then there's option A on your sheet as well. And, you know, if the committee is hesitant to support a zoning amendment solely to allow ground floor residential units, we'd like to present that plan, which would go further in advancing the public interest. So in that scenario, we once again removed 1 bedroom and 1 2-bedroom from each of the 2nd and 3rd floors. The architect reorganized the ground level to allow for an additional 2 units, so the unit count would go from 24 to 26. Most importantly, on this plan, the benefit here is it increases the number of affordable units from 3 to 4. So the same holds true regarding keeping the amenity space of a gym and storage. Tandem parking is once again eliminated, and we also still remain compliant with all RSIS parking standards. The additional affordable unit would increase Long Hill's affordable housing stock and meet a growing public need. It's a significant concession. It's a 1-to-1 ratio of affordable units to market rate units for the proposed increase, which underscores the commitment to contributing meaningfully to the township's affordable housing needs. So there's basically 2 options that you have in front of you. One is just taking the 4 units, getting rid of the retail, putting them on the first floor. The other is getting rid of the retail and then giving an extra balanced 2 units. One would be market, one would be affordable.
Okay, and so there's 2 paths forward. One is to go through zoning, and that appears to be laborious, expensive. And the other would be to shortcut that a little bit, if we could do a zoning amendment. And so Jack, do you want to opine on the situation? And, you know, is this something that is unusual, or?
In a vacuum, this would be spot zoning. The only way we could do it from a legal standpoint is to have an overlay zone because it does include affordable housing. The project is already included in the draft fair share plan, and I'm not talking out of school because it's already, been approved. It's already approved, or it's already included in the draft fair share plan that's being prepared by the township planner for 3 affordable units. What they're asking is that we change it to make it a overlay zone for affordable housing, And in that new overlay zone, we would eliminate the retail and require one more affordable unit. As Mr. Rocker said, they would have to go back, they would have to go to the planning board, they were before the Board of Adjustment before, and get amended preliminary final site plan approval.
Okay, so do you think, is this something that, we'd probably be best served referring to the planning board to opine on?
There's certainly no harm in doing that. You have the right to refer things to the planning board. I know Mr. Jones is here.
And Tom, I didn't want to put you on the spot, but do you have anything that you'd want to kind of add to this?
You see, I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was there on the planning board when you guys made
I remember you.
a great presentation then and a great presentation now. Now, at first blush, I'm under the impression that that area, the master plan, is to try to get retail in that area. I could be wrong. Tom Jones would know better than I. But I know Jerry Aronio was, at the time, made it clear that the goal was to try to increase our retail footprint in town. Having said that, we're not looking to try to saddle you with, retail that you can't rent, so to speak. So, me personally, I have to take, I would have to, listen to what Tom says and take another look at it.
I hear you, and if I could just respond before
Of course.
Tom says anything. There is more than meets the eye here. It's not just about us, and I know a lot of people come up here. This was a very unique property, because if you remember, the smallest lots in all of town are on one side of us, all residential on Metzler.
Yep.
And then there's a single-family house on the other side. It was pre-COVID, so we had the school just opening. We had a lot of concerns about traffic.
Yep.
You have the bar. Now you have the Wendy's going in, the advent of the Taco Bell, the whole character of this area. And we tried our best to work with Mr. Ranio. We certainly respect everything that he's done with all the efforts he's made in town. What we were trying to figure out, and even then, is that building, that specific parcel of land on that side of the street, the neighbors, and we've had ongoing dialogue with them, and one of them's here today, the concept of the retail didn't make a lot of sense, and the added cars, which is really the high amount of trips coming in and out, was all from that retail. And those units are a tiny bit small. So we tried to come up with a solution that, one, how could we help the township? How could we help the neighbors? And how could we help ourselves, just being realistic, in a win-win situation? Like, those houses are never going away on the other side of us, okay? There's several of them. I don't know what's going on with the neighbor next to us, but he's lived there longer than we've owned the property. And this property, too, before had wild animals running around. It's falling apart. We've been waiting for sewer, which is finally, we're told, coming so we could participate. We thought, like, not making something, like I said, 300, 400, 500 square feet bigger, making these units 100 square foot better. You get a nicer tenant, okay, for the town. You clean up the site. You get rid of the retail that we think won't get rented, and brings all those cars in, and those headlights go into all the people on Metzler, and they're afraid about it, and they don't want more traffic there. They have enough trouble. The school wasn't even open because it was COVID times. Now they're like, how am I going to get in and out? I need more retail there. The King's isn't there anymore. At some point, someone's coming across the street. That's going to bring even more traffic to the area. And a 1-to-1 ratio, you're going to take the project from, I think, a 12% percentage on affordable housing to over 15%. And you get a 1-for-1 on it, and you're not really building any more units, and you're making the units slightly bigger. You get rid of the tandem parking, which everyone hated and the neighbors hated, because people are going to have to back up and come in, and which car is going to be where. So now you only have single spot parking underneath. We looked at it as just like one of these rare things where everyone wins, right? The township wins, the neighbors win. John can build a nicer product for people there and have a little bit more room in the units. And I know I met with the woman who's here today too, and she's the most affected neighbor because she lives on Plainfield Road. The entrance, she's 54 Plainfield Road. Mrs. Parisi's here. Like, she's going to have cars right next to her house going in and out the whole time. She already has issues, and she's like, I came out against this project, and I think this is a good idea. And I know she prepared something. I'm not saying that you have to let her speak, but that was our position on this. And I can't speak. I'm not an attorney like Mr. Pigeon, but I believe that you're rezoning these property anyway. It's not going to be a BD zone anyway. It's going to be an affordable housing zone. just like all the other townships, make affordable housing zones and give relief for those pieces of property.
Well, that's not exactly right. I don't mean
Okay.
to interject. The planner at the present time has it in there because you've already gotten Board of Adjustment approval. But as I said, I do think the township committee could adopt an overlay zone to make it an affordable housing zone.
And then we would be going back to the planning board after anyway. Even if you amended this, we still have to be fully compliant. We have to still go to the planning board with everything and go through the whole process like we would have now, right? We bifurcated that application. You gave us the zoning relief, but we still have to come back.
What you're doing is going to be a significant improvement to that property. And you're interested in building in, doing something in Long Hill, we appreciate. However, I own some commercial real estate also. I'm not a builder like you guys. And what you're saying, listen, it's definitely going to be better for you guys as the owner of the building, what you're proposing, okay? Is it going to be better for Long Hill? I don't honestly know the answer to that question. So, again, at first blush, it was approved with the commercial on the first floor. It's, we're trying to increase our commercial footprint, I believe. We have areas, we have a lot of people that are be coming into town and in the surrounding towns. I happen to believe that commercial space will be something that becomes more in demand. It's not my expertise, however, I just feel that way. I don't want to have an opportunity, we're limited in the opportunities in this town where we can put commercial space. We're limited. There's not just a bunch of spots we can put commercial space if we want to put commercial space. That happens to be one of them. So I'm not trying to be difficult.
No, you're entitled to
But
opinion.
it's something that I think needs to be thought of very carefully because, commercial, again, we're limited to the spaces that
It's a
where we can
very
put
small
commercial.
space. it's
And I want to take a
very-
better look at it, by
and
the way.
It's a tough intersection. It's small space. And to be honest with you, it's really just about making the units slightly bigger, getting rid of the traffic. And there is a benefit. The benefit is like a 33% increase in affordable there, which is a nice bonus. And listen, nobody builds like John. It's going to be a beautiful building. And I know they're tired of looking at that building.
100%.
So I don't know if you want to give her an opportunity to
Of course,
speak.
no. Listen, my opinion is not the only opinion that
Right.
that counts here. Everybody's opinions count, and I could be wrong.
Or you
but-
could be right.
You know what I mean? I'm just being honest with you. I'm not trying to be difficult. You guys are gentlemen. You make a great presentation then, and you did tonight. To the point where at first I'm like, here we go. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, you got a good point here.
I think what you're saying, in my opinion, it's not like we're choosing between a right and a wrong option. We have two good options, and we feel that if you put it on a scale and weigh all the pros and cons, that, in our opinion at least, and we hope for receptivity, that what I think the benefit might the scale of benefit might outweigh the benefit of not doing it, if you understand what I mean.
For sure, and I have a feeling we're going to all take I'm certainly going to take a closer look at the plan.
That's all.
For sure.
And we're very
Absolutely.
excited.
No, absolutely, and you deserve that.
It's been a long haul, and it's been a great process, time flies, but we're excited to finally get moving with it.
And if you remember, we took that first board, all of their comments to heart, and we tremendously changed this, because we came back twice. So they gave us all of these notes. The units got cut down tremendously. There's a path, there's buffering, there's a school bus stop. There's all of these things that the board the first time, and we changed architects.
It was a good process. It was an
It took
excellent process.
several years, but we got a really great building. And what we're actually talking about is just building 2 extra units, one of them being, if you go that route, one of them being an affordable, or building no more units and getting rid of the traffic problem and increasing the size a little bit. But I don't want to speak, for the neighbors. I just wanted to give her an opportunity
Of course.
to be heard, because she's going to be impacted most throughout this process.
Yeah, please come up. And I'm just looking at a map of this right now. On that side of the street, this property's bracketed by residential.
It's all residential.
It's all residential, and you go down to Metzler, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties there that are all residential. Okay, hi, can you
Hi.
state your name and address, please?
Yes, Linda Parisi, 54 Plainfield Road. So I am looking at the project, the house right to the left. So yes, I came out when they went for their approvals, and I did oppose it because, I mean, it's a big project and a lot of cars, and the traffic was my number one concern at that time. So it's still my concern. And when they were going through it, we didn't have the Taco Bell. The school was in session, but not as much. And even then, I had hard time getting out of my driveway. So having retail for me, personally, I don't know what would go there, right? So are they limited on what could be there? So if it's a nail salon, people are in and out all day long, right? So it just adds to the traffic coming in if there's several businesses in there. And it is residential on my side of the road, so it doesn't really fit in. So I know that during their application, they had a traffic study. And when he was there, because my concern was the traffic and the amount of units, and the gentleman who did the traffic study, and I don't know who it was, he had talked about it and said that the traffic, people who live like in the rental units, that the average person only leaves and comes home once or twice a day, and it's the retail that's where the traffic comes from. So I do remember that your guy said that. So I am the most affected because I own my home. On the other side, I don't know if they own, but I own my home. I'm right there. The parking is literally right next to my house. So everyone who's going to be pulling in their parking spots is going to be shining in my window. And right now you might say, well, if it's retail, you know, it stays light out until 8 o'clock, but in the winter, that's not the case, you know. So anyway, these are this is what is affecting me. And I'm not sure who was there. They were, during the approvals, the board was conflicted with whether retail needed to be there or not, because I was at all the meetings. We were on Zoom. So for me, eliminating it would be a lot less traffic for me and getting in and out. Right now, during the day, if anyone is ever there, just people pulling out of the Valley Mall, that's a big thing, they're coming out. And I mean, every day there's horns honking because somebody's trying to go, and now you're adding more because it's the Valley Mall. This project will be here. Right next to the Valley Mall is the Goddard School, and I'm right behind the Goddard School. So when I pull out of my driveway, I have to look Plainfield Road, Valley Mall, Goddard School. Now this is one more thing. So I'm looking 1, 2, 3, 4, trying to get out. So having retail, for me, it's dangerous. And I have children coming in and out. Like I have kids who are driving now. So I do think that it would help everyone. I think if the units are staying the same and even adding a unit, of course I prefer the units to stay the same, but I understand the town and affordable housing, that I just think that that's the better option for everyone. So I appreciate you listening to me. I'm not a good public speaker, but
fine. Thank you.
I thank you. And yes, so I am definitely more for this project without retail, if that could be accomplished. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom, from a master plan perspective, a planning board perspective, I know you're not speaking for the board, but you want to offer some thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to visualize exactly where this property is, and it sounds like it's right across the street from the exit to Valley Mall.
Yep.
And you see the dilapidated house that's right there. That's the property that's in question.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And I believe that is also zoned the BD zone.
Yes.
Right? And we do, I don't know if we have an overlay for that yet. I think I've heard that we have an overlay for that. Okay. You're right in saying that we are looking at, or that ground floor apartments are prohibited. The planning board is actually in discussion looking at villages and hamlets right now to review the ground floor apartment scenario to see if we're possibly eliminating that and making it multi-purpose, or you can go with retail or you can go with apartment. But we're in discussions with that now. We're not talking about the BD zone at this point. I'm happy to take it under consideration, to talk to the team, the planning board, to see, is this something that we want to include? I'd also take guidance from Attorney Pigeon with regards to the overlay, if there's something there that we can address. Did I hear that you might have one other apartment be affordable? So it wouldn't be 3, it would be 4.
Right.
Yes.
Right, so we have, there would be an extra one for that. So I tried looking through the master plan on my phone, and I was trying to see if we had any recommendations for rezoning that particular property, because there are suggestions in the master plan about looking at areas within the township that may not be zoned properly or just misconfigured, and to address those. And there's a list of about 39, and I don't know this because we're actually going through that part too. There's 39 of them, and I just couldn't see it on my phone, whether or not that is being addressed. But happy to take that under consideration. Anything we can do to improve the town is definitely our goal. And there are 10 retail stores in the Valley Mall that are vacant. And actually, they cut a hole to put in some kind of dog retail business in the old King's location. So there is some retail coming back, but like you articulated before, the e-commerce has taken over. COVID has put a dent in the brick and mortar retail business.
So to kind of wrap this up so we can move along, can I suggest a path forward here? And in no particular order. We don't have everybody here tonight. Obviously, we're going to have to talk about this. There's pros and cons. I think you've done a great job of laying out what it is you're looking for and the rationale behind it. I'm looking at a map right now, and I can see your argument for this. Right, it's all residential on that side of the street. I understand the traffic, but we need to have a discussion with the rest of the committee on that. Parallel to that, Tom, if you can put on the planning board agenda, I'm on the planning board with Tom. You can put on a discussion with Don at the next meeting to talk about this.
Yep.
Right? And, you know, let's kind of look at this through the lens of the master plan, the stuff that you're doing with the ground floor apartments.
Yep.
And then the third leg of the stool, Jack, if you can draft up a scratch ordinance that would address this, so we could look at that in the context of our decision whether or not it's the right thing to do.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
I suggest I talk to Jessica Colwell,
Right,
the
you gotta
township
talk to
planner.
Jessica.
I just wanna
and come up
add-
with a draft ordinance.
Yeah.
I had 2 things, because I definitely remember during the process speaking and your comments, we could fit more units on that first floor with parking. We didn't ask for that. We're just trying to move the existing units that you guys already approved to the first floor, or as a caveat, just build so the building's balanced too. But now that you don't have the retail with the parking spaces being removed, we didn't want to do another first floor full. We're honestly trying to come up with a solution because we're afraid that side of the street, no one's going to visit that retail. And some of those neighbors, their ex-husband who's passed away used to work for John. We've met some of them, like they don't, I don't want to speak for everybody, but especially the neighbor that came here today, like it's going to be so much more traffic by having retail there. And we just thought this was a way where it honestly could be a win-win for everyone. That's why we suggested it, and I'll leave it there.
I just want to highlight just one of the things I said, just to leave you guys with, and I really appreciate your time, I appreciate this process, and I'm really looking forward to get started, ultimately regardless. But the units, as a function of what transpired with the overall process, the units are just slightly constrained. That 100 square feet will really tip the scales in allowing, I think, a much stronger tenant base. The building will have a healthier profile in terms of tenancy. And those people, not to make presumptions about what people do with their paycheck, but I think the nature of the building will probably move to support more of the existing retail, what might ultimately come into Valley Mall. You're gonna have people with maybe more better
More money.
tenancy, a stronger tenancy essentially.
Would you be able to add, like a community room or something like that? Because
We kept the amenity space.
Yeah.
Okay.
We kept the gym, the storage,
beautiful
there's a
lobby.
pet, we made sure that the amenity spaces were consistent. And if you look, the units are small. Like, they'll get built either way, but like, they're small right now. And 100 square feet is.
How big, what size are they now?
I'm not the architect, I don't, but.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, by the way, I'm not,
900
Are they-
square feet for like 1,000 for like a two-bedroom is tight compared to the market and what you said is going on in Warren. They're 30, 40% bigger, some of these units. So, and we kept the building tight on purpose to comply with as much of the previous zoning as possible and give the neighbors that are residential on both sides airspace. I made a commitment to them too, that like, we're gonna plan in as.
A lot of buffering.
We tried our hardest because, we're there. John and I, we don't sub this stuff out. We're the guys who are building it. If you remember, I grew up right next to the high school. I used to ride my bike down here when it was like Oh My Chinese and Burger King and everything. So I know the area really, really well. John knows the area really well. We still all have family right here. So we want to build something really beautiful and we want to take that down. And we also know that we're going to have to get along and that we want those neighbors to be proud of what we build next door.
I think you've stated your case, and I think you've done it well.
Thank you for
Megan,
your
if
time.
you could just help me capture next steps on this. Communication, Tom to the planning board, talk about this at the meeting at the end of May. Jack, draft up an ordinance, talk to Jessica, our planner, so we can see what that looks like on paper. And then Vic, we'll have to talk with the rest of the committee and sort of hash out the pros and cons. I
Yeah.
think we have a good sense of those. We pick up an extra affordable house, we have better units, which we're gonna attract, a higher clientele, make the neighbors happy. I'll take you through the map so you can see what's going on that side of the street.
I'm gonna revisit the property site also.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime
Was
you
it
wanna come.
like a dog,
Yeah.
like a pet supply or something like that? at some
It
point?
used to be a pet store,
Yeah.
and there was, according to the neighbors, 20 animals.
It wasn't a good
It was a bad situation, and if you would have gone into that place, it's much better now, but it needs to change, and we're always available. We appreciate your comments. That's how we build better things. So if you want to meet us, you want to go on your own, you can get our contact information. Like, your comments are very valuable to us.
Okay,
We
right.
appreciate you guys, thank you.
Much
very
appreciated, guys.
All right, so moving on. Now we're into ordinances. Ordinance 569-25, first reading and introduction, an ordinance repealing section 2-14.13 of the Township Code entitled Process for Promotion to Chief of Police. Jack, can you,
Yes, this ordinance was written by our fire official, and now he is,
Nope. This is the chief.
Chief?
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I must have an old ordinance, or old agenda. Sorry about that. This ordinance, what it does is, because the Township Committee is studying the process of promoting an officer to police chief, and consulting with the New Jersey Association of Chiefs of Police, we felt it was best to repeal the current ordinance until that process is complete, and we can come up with a new process to incorporate in a new ordinance.
Okay, so this isn't adding, it's simply subtracting.
That's correct.
Okay, Vic, I'll start with you. Any comments?
Nope.
Okay, Aubrey, Matt, Guy, any comments? None. And I have no comments. Okay, can I have a motion to introduce and pass ordinance 569-25 on first reading? It'll be you, Vic.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Committeewoman Riker Eline,
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pasurcia. I think he's a little occupied at this moment. And Mayor Dorsey. Mayor Dorsey?
That's okay, we do have a quorum voting, so.
Okay. All right. And when will this be on the agenda next?
May 28th.
May 28th for second reading and public comment. All right, next. Ordinance 568-25, second reading and amending chapter 17 of fire prevention. Jack,
Hey, now I'm ready.
you ready? Okay.
Sorry, I have an old agenda, I guess. Yes, this is an ordinance written by the fire official to clean up the fire prevention section of the township code. He has now requested that we make some additional technical changes. As I recall, they're mainly just changing nomenclature on some of the technical regulations and things. So in any event, I would ask that you move to amend the ordinance in response to those recommendations, and that the public hearing be continued on the ordinance as amended until the next meeting. I can give you more.
Oh, no, this is fixed.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, that's the record date, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to accept the changes to 568-25 and carry the public hearing until May 28th.
That's correct.
So basically kicking the can one meeting.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
I don't think any of the changes are substantive, but it's safer just to continue the public hearing.
Okay. So do I hear a motion?
So moved.
And I'll second.
Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Committeewoman Riker Align,
Yes, sorry, I can't access my mute button very quickly. Yes.
that's okay. Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia. I'm gonna have him abstain, and Mayor Dorsey.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so public hearing on that on May 28th. Moving right along to consent agenda. And so there's going to be a change on resolution 25-134. And we're striking Article B on that, I believe, correct?
That's setting the minimum rent requirement.
Okay, so I'd just like to, add that when we vote on this, that, that change is in place. And then we are adding, a resolution too as well, right?
Correct.
25-144, resolution of the Township Committee of the Township of Long Hill, authorizing the operations manager to sign the necessary New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection application forms related to sanitary sewer construction. Jack, could you just explain what that is?
Yeah, this New Jersey American needs, if Randy's still on, he actually prepared the resolution.
Yeah, I could explain it, Jack.
Thank you, Randy.
So New Jersey American Water is submitting their phase 1 for sewer expansion to DEP, and they need the township, since the township isn't the operator of the system anymore, basically need their blessing to be sent with the application to DEP so they can consider the application. And that's what this is, giving the authorization to the New Jersey American Water's operation manager to process the application on behalf of the township to the benefit of the residents of the township.
Okay, all right, very good. Are there any, before we go forward with approving these resolutions, are there any abstentions? No abstentions, right? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve resolutions number 25-129 through 25-144 with the change mentioned on 25-144, striking Article B, and 25-134? Can I have a motion?
Motion to move.
And I'll second it.
Committeeman Lavender,
Yes.
Committeewoman Riker Align,
Yes.
Committeeman Verleza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Paserchia is abstaining, and Mayor Dorsey.
Yes.
Okay, all right, moving right along, committee reports. Vic, what do you got?
All right. Our rec, well, we gotta wait for the slides to come up
Sorry.
there. That's okay, take your time. All right, the Wednesday, May 14th rec update is as follows. Summer plans are keeping us very busy in parks and recreation. On April 24th, the Central School Community Service Group, led by Isabella DiBiase, met us at Sterling Lake for cleanup of the grounds. Great way to acknowledge Earth Day, and thank you very much to this group. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and through several activities, we are painting the town green. You've probably already noticed some extra green decor in town to help bring awareness to this cause. New program running on Saturday, May 17th. Come to Town Hall parking and learn some basics about the car you drive and depend on. Taught by a certified mechanic. Register on Community Pass. The cost is only $45 and registration closes tonight. Please join us for our annual Memorial Day Parade and observance on Monday, May 26th. The parade begins at 9:30 a.m., followed by a brief ceremony at Central School. Please join us as we honor those who gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we may all enjoy the freedoms we do today. We march light, rain, or shine. Community groups interested in joining the parade, please contact the Parks and Recreation Department. Registration for Sterling Lake is open now on Community Pass. Register by May 31st in order to receive your early bird pricing. All right, it's your last chance to join us for CPR/AED training until the fall is coming up. Thursday, May 22nd from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Long Hill First Aid Squad building. Please register online through Community Pass. Class size is limited to $35 per person. Class size is limited. The cost is $35 per person. All right, moving on to slide number 8, the Sterling Lake Dance, Friday, June 6th from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Chaperones are needed. Please call the recreation office if you can help. Enter our free photography contest by June 1st. Snap photos of what spring in Long Hill looks like and enter on Community Pass. Winners will be announced in June. Registration is open now for Summer Rec Camp and our Little Explorers Pre-K Camp. Check out the website for more details and register on Community Pass by 5/31. Our Dog Days of Summer free concert series lineup has been announced. The screen truck will also be on hand at all of our concerts. Ice cream and free concert. What a treat that can't be beat. All right. Don't forget Oscar the Grouch and his daily message to keep our parks clean. Can't forget Oscar the Grouch. And last but not least, remember our Recreation Advisory Committee is always looking for new members. You want to join? Contact the Parks and Recreation Department for more information. And that concludes my rec update. Thank you.
Okay, Megan, while you're teeing up the library update slides, I will quickly give the report from the planning board. Tom, thank you for the stats. So 2 ordinances have been approved by the Township Committee so far, at the recommendation of the planning board. The planning board has 10 ordinances that are currently being worked on, and they're at various stages, so that pipeline of ordinances will continue to come our way here. And 80 of the 300-plus recommendations in the 2023 master plan are currently being addressed. So a lot of work going on there. We talk about it every meeting. And then next I'll do the library update. So The library's looking forward to lots of fun in the weeks ahead. We had a great time at Millington School and look forward to going to Watchung Hills Regional High School for Career Day next. Thanks to all for participating in the library's 20th anniversary last month. There were 75 people at the cake cutting, and people are enjoying our selfie station, Reading Gives You Wings. Huh, look at that. Slide 3, throughout May, all community members are encouraged to pick up a tiny art kit. Paint a masterpiece and return to the library for community art display. Our 3rd annual Tiny Art event, all ages. Next, the Silent Book Club is the 3rd Thursday of the month at Starbucks at 10 a.m. Just an hour to read with others. Read whatever you want. Just read to yourself. Next, Kids Story Time takes place every day at 10:30. We have some special ones next week. Plus, we have the popular Read to a Dog story time on Saturday. That's right, you read to your dog. What kind of books do dogs like to hear?
Not sure.
A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
No trees before.
Right. Great practice for beginning readers and a great anxiety alleviator for older kids too. Next, free movies every Wednesday and Thursday for adults. And lastly, the Friends of the Long Hill Library, a volunteer group, is hosting a Panera fundraiser on our behalf, Thursday, May 15th. Just mention the fundraiser at checkout, and that concludes the library report. Thank you. Aubrey, anything that you would like to add remotely?
No, I'm good. You did great. Thank you.
Thank you. And Matt, how about you? He's muted. Okay. All right.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say. Okay. Administrator's report. Randy, what say you?
I just have 2 quick things. If people have not noticed, Northfield is paved. So it is 97 and 98% completed. Next week we'll be doing lines and safety measures. Also, I don't want to leave people curious as to New Jersey American Water sewer expansion. This phase is for South Northfield Road to Valley and Morris Avenue to Sussex. And that'll be phase 1. We should have, they're working on phase 2, which should be coming to us hopefully by the next meeting. And we'll discuss that when we get all the paperwork.
Great. And the reason that
And that's
painting
it.
on Northfield's not happening this week is because you can't paint in the rain, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, discussion. I see electric vehicle chargers on here. So how do we want to start this off? Randy or Matt or?
Well, we had gotten a request from a resident on Main Avenue to utilize UV chargers on Main and take 2 parking spots to utilize for UV chargers. I'm sorry, electric chargers. The problem is that it's considered a concession in the New Jersey Public Contracts Law. So if the township does want to do this, we can move forward and draw up specifications and ask for an RFP for the concessions for installing electric chargers. Not just on Main Avenue, but anywhere in town that the township committee would like to see them. So he wanted to install them, but the catch is if somebody wants to install them and not charge at all for the electric, that's fine. The person's not making any money, so it's not a concession. But obviously they have to make money to pay for the electric that the cars will be, or the vehicles would be using. So that's what makes it a concession in the New Jersey Public Contracts Law.
And how would they hook that up to our grid?
The grid in that area would have to be able to suffice the charges. So apparently the person that did have this proposal has checked with JCP&L, and the grid right there, the grid in that area does support that.
And I'm just curious, how many volts, how many amps per charger? Do we know that?
No, I don't.
And it's connected, what, by overhead wire to the telephone pole?
It'll probably be connected underground to the telephone pole and up the telephone pole.
Got it. So there'd be a little bit of jackhammering and running a conduit or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it, okay.
And of course, when if we choose to go this route, all that would be in the request for proposals that, and then you guys can decide how you want it constructed and so forth, so on.
Right, and it'd probably accept a credit card, which means it needs a data connection.
Correct.
Got it, okay. All right, anything else on that?
That's all I have.
All right.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to add, I think it's a good idea, obviously, to put them in and follow the protocol to get the, the different requests in for that. I would also recommend seeing if we can get some at town hall / the library, the fields, like that parking lot, wherever is best suited for that. And then I would be open to ideas throughout the town if there's anywhere else that we should be doing them. But I think it's a good idea to get the bid.
Good. Okay, all right, next topic, commercial vehicle ordinance. I'll give an update on that. Planning board had a discussion about that last night. We did some research. Bridgewater actually had the exact same problem to solve. And we took a look at their ordinance. They did a nice job of crafting language that, would accomplish what we want to accomplish in terms of keeping the neighborhoods looking good, and yet not penalizing, small business owners who have vehicles that they use to commute with. And so that was shared with the rest of the planning board. Everyone's in favor of, fixing this, so, folks are happy. And so we'll move forward.
Perfect.
Yeah, right, and you'll see something come up here. Basically, if you own a pickup truck up to a certain class,
Yep.
it's not gonna be a problem.
No.
If you own a van up to a certain class, it's not gonna be a problem.
Yes.
Our ordinance was, actually very outdated and a little bit, archaic.
Yep.
We were trying to, in our ordinance, LU 111, I think it is, where we had definitions, we were attempting, once upon a time, to define what a commercial vehicle is. Recommendation number one is, no, let's go to NJSA 39-1-1, their definition of what of a commercial vehicle is, and normalize to that. That's number one. And then, number two, we were looking at load capacity as a definition of, but that's not the right way to do it, because load capacity changes as models change. So
I
we're
think
looking
it's
at
just the weight of the vehicle, right?
gross vehicle weight rating, gross vehicle weight rating is the weight of the vehicle plus the weight of the fuel, 400 pounds, but maybe if it's diesel, the weight of the occupants in a crew cab, which could be 1,000 pounds, plus the payload, right? And so what you're looking at is, basically you've got three levels of pickup trucks. Let's look at those for a second. You've got, F-150, F-250, F-350.
Right.
Ram 1500, Ram 2500, Ram 3500, Silverado falls the same thing. You look at the 350 class, that's the last pickup before you get into single cab chassis, box trucks, dump trucks,
Yep.
and stuff like that. 350 is what, probably as high as a contractor's gonna go down to Astro Rents and pull a trailer from the rent for the day, right? That's a gross vehicle weight rating. Highest in that market is 14,000 pounds. At 14,000 pounds is 7,000 for the vehicle and everything that I just mentioned, right? And not everybody has those.
And it sounds fair.
Yeah, it's fair. So they did a really nice job of kind of delineating this. They made it flexible where, where feasible, park it, and where it can't be seen, where feasible, have fencing, right?
Yes.
And we know we live in a town where not everything is feasible. So, it's good to have that kind of flexibility. And, again, the gloss around their ordinance just kind of demonstrated to me that they had the exact same problem we did.
Yep, a lot of
Right.
towns have.
Right, and they did a nice job of fiddling with it. So anyway, they're gonna look at it, they'll make recommendations back, and we'll clean this up.
Great.
So, all's well that ends.
Yep.
Yeah, our ordinance goes back to at least 1992.
Right.
That's the oldest code I have. It was adopted long before. that.
And
I'm
the
not sure
problem
when.
with it, the real problem, it allowed for nothing. There was
That's
no
right.
flexibility whatsoever.
And that was the intent
So,
back then.
right, to me, the solution wasn't just don't enforce it. You know what I'm trying to say? To me,
Fix it.
we have to start fixing, our ordinances and start enforcing the ordinances that we agree upon.
Absolutely.
Well, and again, we look at the bigger picture here, that's what, Tom's leading that initiative on the planning
Yep.
board, the ordinance.
Yes,
review
he is.
committee. So, we keep eating through these things and fixing them, and, there'll be a few panics along the way, but that too shall pass, and we'll get this fixed. All right, any old or new business? All right. See none, move into announcements. So, again, as we heard, Long Hill Township Memorial Day Parade, May 26th, 9:30. I believe we meet on Mercer Street, right? At 9:30. Does the parade start at 9:30 sharp, or? Yeah, it starts at 9:30 sharp, and then we make our way up to Central School. Al, is there anything at the firehouse afterwards? You want to, what, is there like hot dogs and stuff?
Yeah, hot dogs, refreshments.
Okay, so as soon as it ends up at Central School, go around the corner to Sterling Firehouse and enjoy the company of your neighbors along with some dogs and whatever beverages are there. We'll see. Next, Millington Sterling Wet Down, May 31st, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Al, where is that?
That's at Sterling Firehouse.
Okay, so that's 5 days later. That's a Saturday, right?
Correct.
Okay. Anything special we should share about that? Kids welcome?
Kids welcome, yeah, free to get in.
Free to get in?
Only charge if you're gonna drink,
Oh.
21 to drink.
21 to drink.
Yeah, bouncy house, ice cream truck, band,
Bouncy house and an ice cream truck.
DJ and fireworks. from the-
Do you have like a flyer on this or something up on the
We do on
website?
our social media page, it is outside on the board, there'll be town, signs going up tomorrow and banners going up on our vehicles strategically placed in town this weekend.
Got it, all right, so I'm gonna rewind to do this again. So the Millington Sterling Wet Down is May 31st, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Keep an eye out for the flyers on this. There's gonna be bouncy houses, things for the kids, adult beverages. Sounds like it's gonna be a blast.
Yes, 3
Oh.
3 p.m. to 9 p.m.,
3 p.m.
right, is that what you said? You said?
No, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. it says here.
No, yeah. Okay, I got it.
What is it?
It's
3 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay, all right. Very good, all right. Meeting's open to the public. I can see people are scrambling over each other's bodies to get up here and talk.
Remember, there's a 3-minute limit.
There's a 3-minute limit. Okay, everybody satisfied? Anybody online?
There is no one online.
Are our committee members online?
Correct, yes. There's nobody from the public online.
All right, well,
Having said that.
having said that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anything?
Nope.
No, we're done. Half day.
Mike.
All right, everybody enjoy the rest of your evening.